Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So in this video we are going to cover the written communication or the Writex in Wipro NLTH examination, and we will also be covering the essay topics and some tips and tricks which you should keep in mind while writing the essays in NLTH examination. And this is one of the highly requested videos for which we had created a poll on our Telegram channel where more than 90% of you guys have demanded for a video on it. So here it is. And for those who have not subscribed to our Telegram channel, all the links are mentioned in the description box below. You can go check that out. And also we conduct quizzes, as many of our students already know, so you can join the group and also experience the same. And once again, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel over which you are watching this video right now, make sure to subscribe and also hit the bell icon so that you get all the notifications on time. So let's get started in this video. So first of all, what is the Writex section? Writex section or the written communication test is a part of the selection process for your Wipro NLTH examination. Now in this they have three sections, out of which the two are the aptitude and the second is the logical part, about which we have made videos in the past. You can go check them out. They are also available on the channel, and we are also conducting crash course for all the aptitude questions, so you can also go and check that out. And the third which remains is the Writex section or the essay. In this Writex section, they provide you with a topic on which you have to write an essay in more or less than 200 to 500 words. So you have a word limit on it, and also the duration is of 20 minutes. So you have to judiciously use your time to write everything after thinking. And also there are some kind of parameters on which your essays are evaluated. So what are they? First of all, your grammatical correctness for every sentence which you write. So your sentences need to be grammatically correct. So that is first parameter which you should always consider. Second is your use of punctuations at appropriate places. So be it commas, exclamation marks, or your full stops to end your sentences. You have to also take care of that in those 20 minutes. Third is the sentence framing. So how you frame your sentences and how it conveys the meaning which you want to is a really important factor when you are writing this essay. This is because it also influences the evaluator that you are talking in terms of the topic, you are on the topic and you are not going off topic. And the last is knowledge of the domain and emphasis on the topic. Just as I said about sentence framing, these sentence framing techniques can also help you to emphasize the topic. However, an add-on for you will be that if you use your domain knowledge about the topic, for example, if there is a topic wherein they are talking about some kind of politics, and if you have an interest in political areas, then you can use your domain knowledge to emphasize more on the topic. So these are some of the parameters on which your essays are judged. Now, what are the things which you need to do or consider while attempting the Writex section? First of all, you need to always analyze the topic before attempting it. During those 20 minutes, use at least first 2 to 3 minutes to analyze what you want to write or you want to think of writing, because if you have an idea about what you want to write, then you won't be facing problems wherein students write something and then they erase it and then they write it again, wherein the time is getting wasted a lot. So you won't be in that trap. So always take the 2 to 3 minutes of your initial stage to think about the topic and then start writing. Get a hold on the things which you want to write. Now since the topic can be really vast, so for example if it is a debatable topic, then in that case there are two sides and then there is a lot of room to talk about, but you don't have that many words, so that is why that can be a problem. So always get a hold on the things which you want to write. Pick up 2 to 3 things which you think are really at priority and should be talked about. So get a hold on those things. So that will be really helpful for you, because in that case you can later think about sentence framing, the grammatical mistakes or the punctuation marks about which we just talked on our previous slide. Using domain specific knowledge base, if any, as I referred to the example of politics in the previous slide, you can use to just increase your sentences and also be on topic. So you can emphasize on the topic with the help of domain specific knowledge. Using facts for debatable topics and trying to stick on a particular side. Now this is really helpful for topics wherein there are two sides, just like there are two faces of a coin. So in that case what you can do is stick to a particular side. So either you could be in favor or against a topic. So take a side and talk about it with the help of facts, that will help you to emphasize on your topic first of all. Secondly, it will also help you to decide whether the side which you take is right and why is it right. So you are defining and you are explaining with the help of facts that why you want to stick to a particular side, and in that manner you can still write your essay, which will also help you to score better marks. And also, since doing all these takes time and the time limit is 20 minutes, you have to do everything in those 20 minutes itself. So we will be also talking about the time management. There is a dedicated slide about it, which we will be seeing in a couple of minutes. Make your sentences concise and to the point. Now, while writing your topics, what students usually do is, since they are not clear about the topic which have been asked and they don't give time to think on the topic, and though they have given you 20 minutes, you should use 2 to 3 minutes to think about the topic and then start writing. What happens is students try to write things in active and passive voice, due to which sometimes the information which they want to speak or want to convey doesn't get conveyed properly, along with which they also commit mistakes in their spellings, or they commit mistakes while using punctuation marks or exclamation marks. They don't end their sentences properly. Those are the things which you should always consider before even trying to write everything which you want. For that, one big help will be if you make your sentences concise. Try to use as less words as you can to convey your information. Always remember that convey maximum information with minimum words. That is the key to writing concise sentences, and always pick on to the point, and that will help you emphasize on your topic in a much influential manner. Now, what are the things which you should not do while attempting the Writex section is that, first of all, never ever switch your tabs even by mistake. Now, there are two cases which can happen. First of all, if your exam is being conducted on a dedicated browser, just like we had a safe exam browser for Accenture and we had a browser for TCS, then in that case, this problem is slightly avoided. However, if your exam is going on a browser like Chrome or a Firefox browser, don't even try to switch your tabs by mistake. It doesn't only get emphasized on tabs, don't even try to click off your browser. So you don't want to click on the taskbar, you don't want to click anywhere else. Basically, don't even touch the mouse, because in that case warnings are issued and it can be considered as a case of copying. So that is why it is really important that you don't switch your tabs even by mistake. Trying to perform any kind of copy paste action. Now, these browser or these exams which we are talking about, they come with a feature wherein they have disabled copy paste by default. However, if in certain cases the copy paste action is still available, don't even try to use it, because there are some parameters on which your essays get judged, wherein they can also check if you are trying to copy paste something or not. And if that is the case, first of all, it could be considered for malpractices, because it can be the case that you have copied something and you are trying to paste it now. So don't try to do it. Secondly, using copy paste in your essays arises with a problem, that is, if in case you are trying to copy paste a certain specific sentence from one part to another, there can be a case where you are trying to speak something but this sentence is implying something else, and that is wrong, which you don't want to do. So avoid copy pasting. Now, what is the next one which you should not do? Writing till the last minute, and I would recommend to highly avoid it, because many students have also experienced this problem wherein they are writing up to the last minute, due to which the following disadvantages are there in hand. First of all, they don't get time to check what they wrote. Secondly, they don't have time to verify that everything which they wrote is correct or not. They don't get time to check for spelling mistakes, punctuation marks, and grammatical errors, along with which they don't even know if everything which they talk was correct or not, and all these comes up at the last moment, due to which it results in anxiety. So highly avoid writing till the last minute. Now, using slang words in your essays is one of the most common mistakes which students do. So they are trying to use their vocabulary from their WhatsApp chats and writing things which they should not, because they think that it is some kind of a chat which we used to do on our phones, and that is where they fall in the trap. So don't use slang words in your essays. That is one of the worst mistakes which you could ever make. Using undefined abbreviations or short forms in your sentences is again a mistake many students try to do or do it by mistake. What you should always do in these cases is that if you are trying to define an abbreviation which is a standard and is accepted, so what you should do is first of all write the full form in one of the sentences where you are using it, write the abbreviation in bracket just after that, and later in your sentences use those abbreviations so that the condition where you have first defined it is also getting defined there, and later in your sentences you are just using this abbreviation so that you don't have to repeat it multiple times, so both your requirements are getting fulfilled. So always use abbreviations just after declaring them, so don't use it just before declaring them so that everybody gets confused. Don't do that. Now, using your messaging vocabulary, just as I talked about slang words, wherein students commit the mistakes, as in they are writing some kind of messages on their WhatsApp. Don't do that. Don't use your messaging vocabulary. This is where they are trying to test multiple things through that one particular test. So don't commit that mistake of using your messaging vocabulary. So now let's talk about the best practices while attempting the Writex section. What you should always do or prefer doing: start by writing a sentence and reframe it immediately if required. So one of the best practices is to write a sentence, read it immediately. If you feel that the sentence is not speaking what you wanted it to, then reframe it at that particular moment. Give priority to convey your information in the easiest way possible. So as I talked about writing sentences in a concise manner, this is what you should always ensure, that you write everything in the easiest way so that you don't get confused, first of all. Second, you don't commit any kind of mistakes in terms of grammar, in terms of sentences, in terms of punctuation marks. So those kind of mistakes are avoided because simplicity is always the key. Use only words which you understand and avoid making it look like a novel. Now, many students try to do this wherein they are trying to use words where they have heard those words somewhere and they think it is cool to use it. But no, it's actually not even cool to use it. This is because sometimes it can happen that there are some words which you are using which convey something different and you want to convey something different, and they go straight out of 180-degree and it does not match. So don't try to make it look like a novel. Don't do it. Use simple words to write your sentences. It is not mandatory to use the complete limit of words. Many students try to write their paragraphs up till the last word which they have available. It's like fighting till the last breath. Don't do that. If you can convey your message, if you can write your essays in say 300 to 400 words even, that's completely fine, because it is not a mandate that you have to use whole 500 words. That is not mentioned, it is not mandatory. So you can also convey your message in less number of words. Avoid copy paste operations after you finish writing. This is another example of copy paste. We are not talking about the one which we talked earlier. In this we are talking about performing copy paste after you finish writing. What happens is that sometimes students see that they are trying to write something which doesn't convey anything or which conveys something irrelevant. So what they try to do is copy paste it to a different part of their sentence or the paragraph which they wrote, so that it should convey a meaning there. A better approach would be to erase it and forget about it, but don't try to copy paste it there, because you run in a risk of doing something which you don't want to, that is showing them that you are trying to do a malpractice. Though you are not doing a malpractice, but still avoid copy pasting operations. That is one of the most important things which you should always ensure. Try finishing your essays at least 3 minutes before the actual time, and this is one of the most important tips I would like to give you, because what will happen is that, so for example you have 20 minutes and you have finished your essay in the 17th minute, so you have 3 minutes remaining, and now you can check your sentences, you can check your words for spelling mistakes, you can check your punctuation marks, and even if you finish your essays on time, that is on 17th minute I'm talking, that will be on time. In that case, what happens is, in some kind of browser they have this setting wherein they don't allow you to write after 2 minutes are remaining, so they don't even allow you. They say that yes, your responses have been saved, click next to proceed to the third section. So always ensure that you finish your essays at least 3 minutes before. So at max you should finish them 5 minutes before the actual time, but 3 minutes is mandatory. Now, making best use of time, just as I mentioned few minutes back that we will be talking about making the best use of time in the Writex examination. First of all, devote initial time to think on the topic asked. That is the first point which I have already mentioned that you should always do. Use your time in a 10 is to 80 is to 10 ratio. Now, why this is important? So you have 20 minutes assigned to you, and talking about the minute distribution for which you should think, first of all, you should devote 2 minutes at least to think about the topic. Use those 16 minutes you have available, that is the 80% of your time, and then use the last 10%, that is the 2 minutes, to have a check on everything you wrote. So that is the time distribution which I would like to give, but that is not a complete or a strict time ratio. You can do it the way you like, but that would be a recommendation from my side. Write your content as small paragraphs rather than as a chunk of data. Now, why this is important? First of all, everything which you write in those 200 to 500 words is nothing but an essay. An essay is not always in a complete manner like that. If you change your essays into small paragraphs, it will help you to check for any kind of mistakes in a better manner. So in that manner, you can avoid mistakes, first of all. Second, it makes it look good so that it does not feel like a bogus kind of a thing. So you can use small paragraphs instead of a chunk of data. That will be really helpful for writing the essays. Recheck your paragraphs for punctuations, conjunctions if needed, and the exclamation marks. So this is really important because apart from sentence framing and grammar, this is the third most important thing that would be really a parameter, like a parameter to test your skills in essay writing. So I would recommend that using punctuations, conjunctions, and exclamation marks is important, but checking them if they are at the correct places is also important. Avoid copy paste operations after you finish writing. We have talked about it already, and reserve your last 5 minutes for wrapping the things up. Now, what I mean by this is that wrapping things up in the last 5 minutes includes finishing your framing, your sentence framing, your paragraph writing, and then the last 3 minutes for checking everything which you wrote. So, those are the 5 minutes in which you have to wrap all the things up. So, always reserve it for the last. That would be something I would recommend to highly emphasize on. That is really important in these kind of exams. Now, some topics which, as I promised, we will be discussing. So, what are the topics which you can expect in Writex section? So, there can be the following domains from which they can ask the questions. First is the health. Now, as you know that in this pandemic session, this is one of the highly discussed topic. So, they can talk about pandemic and its impacts and your views upon it. Second, we have a job effect during pandemic. So this section, that is job effect during pandemic, can have many different kind of questions wherein they can ask you questions in terms of the company, wherein they say that would you like to travel to different locations and explore better opportunities during this pandemic section, and what are your views on it? These can be the kind of topics on which they can test you upon. Then social awareness campaigns for health issues. As I said, it has been a really terrible year. 2020 already has been a terrible year, and we have seen different kind of awareness campaigns related to COVID-19, and that is the kind of questions they can also ask you, that what impact it has been on the society with the social awareness campaigns, how much people have been aware, or they are just recklessly doing things which they want to. These can be the type of topics which they ask you. There can be debatable topics in health section as well, but for debatable topics we have another section, a dedicated section. First of all is the social media impact on youth. Now there can be positive and negative impacts both. So there, as I mentioned, that you can take one side and talk about facts, and also emphasize on the side that is in favor or in against for which you are going for. Then there can be topics on toddlers using latest gadgets and its long-term effects. Since pandemic, we have already seen that schools have been shut down, and in that case, students have to be given those mobile phones and tablets because of their studies. So that can have some impact on them. So it is one of the debatable topics again. Then we have parenting measures for e-learning on their child. So providing gadgets to students have also come with the disadvantage that there are so many wrong things on the internet on which their child can get exposed on. So these are the topics which are really debatable, on which they can test you. You have to either take a side and speak on it. What are your views on it? These can be the kind of questions for which you have to write the essays. Then there can be topics on education, how the education industry is affected due to the pandemic. As I already talked about the recent two things, that is toddlers getting phones and tabs and the parental measuring, that can be a topic in education as well. Views on the new educational reform by the government. So the new educational reform which has been implemented for students in the previous year, we can also get topics on that topic, and you can be asked to give your views on it. Then we have how e-learning platforms are promoting a competitive environment. Now, as you have seen that there are many ads nowadays wherein many different educational startups are talking about coding and how their students can get into coding starting from class 6, and how they are promoting a competitive environment for their future. These are the kind of topics you can emphasize upon in this section. And then we have how edtech startups are exploiting a child's career, because as we know that not everything on the internet is true, and many different startups are also doing this for just exploiting some children's career wherein they don't get the value for which they are paying money. And these are the type of topics which can be asked from the educational domain. Now let's talk about the youth related topics, and this is one of the favorite topics because being a fresher opportunity, the Wipro NLTH being a fresher opportunity, these can be the topics which they can ask the questions on. And we have some really hot topics here, because first is how the youth is getting misguided toward wrong practices and measures to control it. Now, wrong practices can be in terms of substance abuse and things like that. So you can also emphasize on those topics and provide measures to control it. And then we have my personal favorite, that is how mimicry apps like TikToks are ruining the youth through a fake sense of publicity. And it's not just TikTok, there are many different apps about which they can ask you. And since TikTok is already banned, there are many different topics or many different apps which are still running, and they perform the same action but on a different audience. Now this is one of the really emerging topic. And then we have parenting measures for e-learning of their child. We have already talked about a similar topic in the previous slide, wherein children can get exposed to wrong material on the internet. So what parenting measures could be taken to not get them in a wrong track? So these are some of the topics on which the essays could be asked, and you could be asked to write or give your views on it. Or it can be a debatable topic wherein they can ask you to provide your views in a particular favor or in against of the topic. So these were the topics which are some of the really hot topics on which they can ask you. So I hope you got a lot of information out of this video. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to our Ribox channel and also join our Telegram channel. All the links are provided in the description box below. And that's it from my side. I hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, as a gentle reminder for those who are new to the channel, we have already started crash course in Wipro NLTH examination. So you can also go check the playlist out on our channel. It's live on the channel. You can go check it out. And that's it from my side. I hope you enjoyed this video. Once again, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And as always, keep learning.